Joining me now is Matt Schlapp. He's the chairman of the American Conservative Union and a Trump supporter as well. Matt, just out of the gates, picking up where Katie and I just left off there. We heard from Nikki Haley a short time ago. She's also one of the names being considered for Secretary of State. Here's what she said in Washington. Take a listen.
I won't pretend to have always been President-elect's biggest cheerleader. We must accept that Donald Trump's election was not an affirmation of the way Republicans have conducted themselves.
So there's Nikki Haley on the topic. The idea of Mitt Romney as a potential Secretary of State. Do you see this as a real option right now? Or what do you think the message is Donald Trump is sending? These are two on Russia. Just take Russia alone. Romney called it our biggest geopolitical foe 4 years ago. Donald Trump has seemed to be more comfortable cozying up, as it were, to Vladimir Putin over the course of his past campaign.
Well, I mean, there's certainly been differences. I think this is a sign of respect for Governor Romney. Certainly, I think Governor Romney was way out of line during the campaign. I think a lot of Republicans, were sore about some of the things he said. But look, there's been an election.
Say a lot of tough things. It wasn't just Mitt Romney who did that.
Yes, I'm just saying specifically on Mitt Romney. I think, but you had an election. We had an election, and it's time for the country to move on. And I think it's smart of Donald Trump to reach out to some folks who were his adversaries, even in his own party, to meet with them. And the one thing I've gotten to know about Donald Trump is that don't count anything out. He's going to meet with these people. He's meeting with a diverse set of people, some people we don't even know about. And he's going to make the ultimate decision in consultation with his close advisors on national security, like General Mike Flynn and Mike Pence. But, I think these meetings are going to be really interesting because I think presidents are affected by conversations and the people they talk to. And I remember in the Bush years, Dan Coats was a slam dunk to be the defense secretary. And after a meeting with President Bush, the president just decided to go in a completely different direction.
Senator Dan Coats of Indiana. Matt, let me ask you about national security, if I can. Both Mike Flynn and Mike Pompeo, they're going to have to contend with ISIS, Islamic radicalism, the phrase that Mike Flynn repeatedly said, and I traveled with him and Donald Trump on the trail for a long time. They said, this administration won't call it Islamic radicalism. That's exactly what it is. You've worked with both of these men at some point. You know Donald Trump, the candidate, very well. What particularly do you think they will change in terms of our national security posture going forward?
Well, what's interesting is I ran out of the White House on 9/11, and, a presidency can change with one episode. And I think that something that Mike Pompeo and General Flynn understand. I know Mike Pompeo very well. He's a very serious guy. He's a brilliant person. He understands the threats facing the country. He has a little more of a reputation for being a bit hawkish. And General Flynn, the reason why I think General Flynn has been named National Security Advisor, I think the number one reason is because Donald Trump knows that he doesn't have a lot of foreign policy experience, and he's gotten to know Mike Flynn. He trusts his judgment.
Right.
There's a role of teacher to a new president who hasn't had a lot of foreign policy experience, just like Judge Clark was with Ronald Reagan. And I think Mike Flynn is going to be taking Donald Trump through these early tests, and I think he's going to be a steady counselor. And I think for Mike Pompeo, he's just a smart guy with a lot of experience, and I think it shows that Donald Trump's willing to also reach outside his orbit of loyal supporters and take a chance on people who have shown themselves to be successful in other ways. So I think it's really turning out to be a great team.
Let me ask you briefly about Attorney General, the co-chair of the Hispanic Caucus's Immigration Task Force, not mincing words. Here's a statement today. I'll read it to you in part, saying no senator has fought harder against the hopes and aspirations of Latinos, immigrants, and people of color than Senator Sessions. It's been said the Attorney General upholds the law, not necessarily the president's policies. Why shouldn't new immigrants and other minority groups, people of color in this country, have real concerns about Senator Sessions?
Because what they're really referring to is the fact that Senator Sessions believes that our immigration laws should be followed. And guess what? Voters said the same thing just a couple of days ago. And we've got to, in this country, separate the idea of upholding our immigration laws from calling everybody who wants to do that racist or someone who's trying to keep people of color down. I think that's a big mistake we're making in this country. I think the voters are exhausted from that kind of talk. Let's look at what we can do together to fix our immigration problem, and let's stop calling people these names. I know you're not doing that, but I think we got to give it a rest.
Matt Schlapp joining us on a Friday afternoon. Matt, good to see you again. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for inviting me.